Week 46, day 6. We close out this week by returning back to the book of Acts, to the narrative story of the church as it is growing. Following Paul and Barnabas's first missionary journey, one of the things that we encountered, and we saw this as we were doing the readings earlier this week, is that there are now not just Jews who are believing in Messiah, Jesus, but also non-Jews. And the question has come up multiple times, do these Gentiles first have to become Jews, or do they have to follow Jewish law in order to be included in the Christian church, in this new covenant that Jesus has established? Well, here in Acts chapters 15 and 16, we see how the people resolve that question. Paul and Barnabas return to Jerusalem, as well as Peter, who has also been on his own missionary journeys. And they return to those who are considered the highest elders among them themselves as apostles, and they sort of hash out what the argument needs to be. Do we include the Gentiles or do we not? Do we include the Gentiles but impose on them the same regulations of the law that we have lived under as Jews? And Paul makes a very valid point that we read in Galatians of why does it make sense to have the Gentiles follow Jewish law when Jewish law never got us out of our problem with sin, that we still needed Jesus to do that. Ultimately, the Jerusalem Council will come down to this. Gentile believers in Jesus do not have to become Jews, first or ever, but they do request two things. One, that they will, all of a sudden I've forgotten what they are. One of them in particular, though, is that they won't eat meat sacrificed to idols. And basically that's just not because eating the meat is bad, but because it's a bad witness to those who do think that that's a bad practice. And I can't remember all of a sudden the second one. This is terrible. Hopefully you'll see it in your reading today because I'm blanking at the moment. All of this then leads Paul back into the missionary field. Now, he's had a bit of an out with Barnabas because they disagreed over Mark. Mark had gone along on the first journey, had made it so far, and then for reasons that we're not told, he left the missionary trip and went back home. This caused a rift between Paul and Barnabas, and so they now separate. Paul is now going to go forward with another partner, Silas, onto this second missionary trip. And again, we see that as they go into these new places where Jesus has never been heard, they're going to follow the same pattern. They're going to go to the synagogue first with the people they have the most in common with before going to the Gentiles. But it seems no matter where they go, they're going to face persecution along the way. Life is not easy. Living life according to Jesus, following Jesus, proclaiming Jesus is not easy, and yet it's still something that we are called to do and to be. Are we prepared to accept the hardships that come with it, the ridicule, the loss of relationships, in order to be true to the one true God who offers us everything in return?